Hello. Welcome to everyone with my fancy new halo light that I'm going to be adjusting for the next several weeks. Wasn't a huge investment, but it is a huge change. Welcome. You've survived. We are well into 2023. Um, it's a hard thing to think about. That year sounds made up. It doesn't feel real. I'm still like having to cross things out when I sign forms. I just had to get a new passport. And my husband was like, oh, we got to do this again. It's not 22. I'm like, oh, really? So complicated. Anyway, my name's Coach MK. That much is simple. Hopefully, things are more simple for you than they are for me at the moment. I can't complain. Life's not that hard. I just get confused because I'm old. We've had to adjust my blood sugar medication and my not on blood pressure medication yet, but yeah, this wasn't supposed to happen to me, right? Marathon runner with celiac. There was nothing to clean up in my diet, and not more exercise was probably not the way. So as we forge in this new territory of trying to figure out what is going on. Still, I'm better than I have been, but I've been flat on my back for the past 2 weeks, totally sick. Mask up when you go out, man. I mean, it's not a political statement. I'm saying you don't want what's out there. I know this because I was finally getting back on track, and boom, then I got sick again. The one day I did not put a mask on my face before I walked into a room full of nasty people. Because as far as I'm concerned right now, every adult I see is just nasty as my own darn children, who are pretty stinky today. Full form. I have no idea how they did it. Shiloh, we're just going to start calling her Pigpen. That's all we can do. That kid stinks. I love her to death and she stinks. I don't know how it happened. I guess some parent didn't bathe them since they left school on Friday. It's me. I'm the parent. Anyway, welcome to the Fitness Protection Program. Welcome to my favorite time of the week. Hopefully it's your favorite time of the week too. Ask away. We had a couple weekly wins. I like to highlight those first. So number one, Francine Scheller, congratulations. She broke her wrist. It's doing a whole lot better. And with x-rays this week, she might be getting, like I'm going through this with you, I'm sorry. She is hopefully going to be getting the cast off, and the pain is abated. And not only that, she was able to run most of the time, almost all of the time, big deal, on a 6.5 mile run this weekend. I have not been mostly running I've been on a couple of 6.5 mile runs, but I have not been running for all of them in a very long time. So as far as I'm concerned, that's winning at life. Congratulations, Francine. Everyone say a prayer for her while she fills out all the FAFSA forms. And if everybody else, if you've got a kid who's going to college in the fall, bless your heart. I know this is not the fun time. It's the fun time while you wait to see if you got in, but it is not the fun time for parents while you fill out all the forms. All the forms. Oh my gosh. My heart is with you. I'm not ready to think about any of that yet. My oldest just auditioned for a magnet school for the arts here, and that is too much pressure for me. She's like, Mom, if I don't get in, it's going to be fine. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm stressed out. I know what this is like. I went through this in high school for college and then later for grad school. And she's just like, Mom, she's totally more mature, handling this much better than I am at the moment. So wherever you are, if you're just entering this process of getting stressed out, or if you're well into it, yay us, keep winning at life. Also, congratulations to Helen Foley, who did a big old trail run this weekend and blew her own mind. And you blow ours all the time. Love you, Helen. And congratulations on the new puppy. When you get a second, Helen, come in here and post photos of your puppy. Your puppy's beautiful. I love it. It's a big old white ball of fluff. So the question then, but before I go into the question, I want to take a minute to talk about the Run Walk program. I've teased this, but I have not sent out the emails about it because I've been sick for the past 2 weeks. What I thought was going to be something minor turned into something like a whole lot bigger that just would not go away. Not strep throat, but I thought it was strep throat for a while. Anyway, long story short, here we are. A Run Walk program to sort of carry us through the first 8 weeks of the year was what kind of felt right. I've been keeping my finger on the pulse, even though I haven't been that active. Part of my New Year's resolution is to be like, even though I know I don't like resolutions, it's something I know I need to be more present and more active and more open on social media. I have missed everyone. It's something I've missed being able to do. The podcast can't come back just yet for legal reasons. I'm barely getting away with this as it is. Because if you want to talk about why, I'm happy to do that offline. But suffice to say, until all of the legal issues are completely behind me, it is best to stay private citizen as much as humanly possible. And that means I can't be doing large broadcasting. So but what I can do is be a lot more present in the Facebook groups, as well as the groups in the app. And I've been so far trying to do that. And if you have gone to the plans pricing page, you may have noticed that I put up, it is now possible to purchase this Run Walk program. As I've been looking over on social media, I've been for the past few months trying to figure out what 2023 would bring. And I have been saying, and I stand by it, that sort of the worst of the worst is behind us, and we're going to start trending towards normalcy again. It'll never be what it was, but it's going to start to feel a little more normal, meaning like races are going to come back. You're not going to have to show proof of vaccination everywhere you go. Little, like, people might not be standing 6 feet apart in corrals. So as some of that starts to fade, for better or worse, it's not a judgment on what I think should happen. It is just a prediction on what I think will happen as someone who used to underwrite insurance for large group events and understand the risks involved. I've been saying, but how ready are we going to be for that? I can already tell you, I have an entrance to New York Marathon at the end of this year. I'm not going to be ready to use it. I mean, I was hopeful there for a while, but now I'm sort of like, I think part of getting sick was sort of me adjusting my expectations for the year, because I was getting a little carried away. This feels good. I feel good. I can do, you know what? But I probably shouldn't. And that's where I am right now. So trying to figure if our client base really wanted a hardcore burn program, doesn't seem like that's the case. I think we're all getting close to kind of burnt out. That sort of program is what we think we need most of the time to start the new year, get a little discipline, develop a new habit, get on it. But it feels like in this moment, what we really need is sort of a gentle on-ramp back. And since I'm going to be tiptoeing into the new year, I decided to go ahead and call the program that. It's already up for purchase if you're interested. What is going to make this a little bit different is, even though I hate the phrase accountability, it is a lot easier if you have starting cues. So there will be a group chat. You can download Signal, the app. Signal, Signal. It's the same encrypted app that we used during the protests. But it is one of the best group chat programs around, because if you've ever been in a text with someone who's an Android user, every time someone on an iPhone likes, hearts, or responds with a little emoticon to a statement, it says so-and-so likes, so-and-so likes, so-and-so, and then repeats the whole statement. And it gets really unwieldy really quickly. That does not happen with Signal. So sorry to ask you to download yet another app, but that's the one. It's just the easiest to work with and the easiest to get people out if they're being unruly. Not that I expect that to happen with you guys, but things happen. So to that end, what's going to make that different is the presence of this app. I'm going to be giving you journal prompts. I have not journaled regularly in a very long time. I have started picking that up again. When I think about things that I did that made me feel good that I want more of, journaling was on the table this year, even though I didn't share that publicly. I'm going to be doing it privately with the Run Walk group. I'm going to be a little more vulnerable than I am comfortable being on a large forum. And so that is not specifically a selling point. I'll just be talking through like my personal journey and using some of the journaling prompts that I use on a daily basis with you guys, both in the app and in Signal. So there'll be a little bit of something for each person, because I always get the one person who's like, I will only use Facebook, or I will not use this and this. So you've got to give me something. There's no requirement to be everywhere. That's why I priced it a lot cheaper. It's at $150 for the 8 weeks. But what it will be, there will be more touch points no matter where you choose to hang out. There's no requirement that you do or use everything. It's just a promise that I will be there in each of those places. So we'll have the Signal app for chats and daily check-ins. We'll have the journaling prompts. Now with that, we don't have to go, I will be vulnerable. You don't have to be. I'll just tell you what I'm doing and thinking and what prompt I'm responding to that day. And then the plan itself is going to be a little bit different. It's easier. It's less than rebuild, not easier. I think about it sort of like a lateral shift. We want more and more and more. And if we want less than rebuild, which it seems like that's where a lot of people are at the moment, that's where I decided to start. We've got a couple of my private clients testing out the workouts now, and they have liked them a lot, much to my surprise, even though they're short, but I'll take it. So that has gone. So yes, everyone who's been trying the special little super short workout that's 20 minutes long, congratulations. I was waiting to see what you thought of it before I rolled this out to everybody, and our private clients really like it. I'm getting ready to roll it out. I have finalized the plan itself. There is, I'm kind of ashamed to say it, there's not really a strength component. I will give you free entry into the Extra Mile if you are part of this program, but you're already going to be getting strength if you want it in the Facebook groups and either Rebuild or Maintain. You can opt into the strength of the Extra Mile. But I also know that realistically, just getting started is going to be a lot, and I want to honor that in the best way possible. So there's no strength component. There's one if you want it, but it's not required, and it's not going to be in Training Peaks. What you will be doing it'll be literally a run walk program, and it's going to be short. I think the longest workout that we get to towards the end is like 45 minutes. So this isn't, and don't let that number sort of scare you or make you feel bad about, make you feel a certain way. I really want to avoid feeling a certain way as much as possible. I want to put all that judgment aside. Remember, the whole reason we start these programs later and not on January the 1st, I could make a lot of money selling things that everybody else does and scaring you and shaming you. And that's just not how I roll. I don't want to do anything new on January the 1st because my kids haven't gone back to school yet and I don't have the bandwidth. It takes me about a month to get back into their new schedule before I'm ready to sort of think of anything differently. For those of you with older kids, I'm sure it's a little different. For those of you without children, I'm sure it's different. But the one thing that is universal is that you are not going to wake up on January the 1st and start automatically doing things that you were not doing already before without a whole lot of preparation, especially if you're hungover from having more fun than I do on New Year's Eve. I was in bed by 9. It was glorious. So I tell you all that to tell you this. We start in 2 Mondays from now, not this Monday, not the following Monday, but the Monday after that. I'm going to be sending an email around with all the information. But if you've been waiting for this and you want to go ahead and get active in the group chat, because we've been playing around with some of the new materials for the past couple of weeks, you are more than welcome to. You can go to the plans pricing page or the programs page on fitness protection. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see tiptoeing into 2023. It's $175, and I'm going to be emailing around a coupon for $25. If you're like, I'm in and I know I already want to buy this, cool. You know what? My daughter can text me from my iPad and she's telling me she loves me. It's very cute. Sorry, I got distracted. Oh, here it is. Sorry. So if you go to run plans, plans pricing, run plans, and you'll see tiptoeing into 2023, use the code all caps CRASH 2023. Crash 2023, and that will get you $25 off. And then you can go ahead, you'll send you a link to the Signal chat and to the app. But if you want to go ahead and get started there, because we're not actually going to be rolling out workouts for a couple more weeks, but if you want to go ahead and get part of the group and start that slow process of preparing yourself to do something new, which I think is really important. Remember, we've got to warm up for everything. We definitely need to warm up for this. That's where you go, and that's where you start. Okay. If you have any more questions, feel free, reach out in office hours. Leave a comment here. I will respond to it. Either way, I'm here for you. Let me know what you think. So the question that we had for today. What is muscle activation technique, MAT for short, and what do you think of it? I heard someone on a podcast say they were always injured in PT, and then they started this muscle activation technique therapy, and now they are fine. So of course I'm interested. Maybe it looks at the cumulative stress on your body and realigns things or something. So MAT is what Peyton Manning credits for the longevity of his career as someone who's received a lot of hits, has had a lot of surgeries, and has a lot of torn muscles. What tends to happen over time, if you've heard me talk about neuropatterning or about neuromuscular stimulation like that, your central nervous system is a whole thing that communicates between your brain and your muscles. And that whole system, if you think of it as a bunch of neural networks and channels, sometimes those channels can get blocked. That's the theory behind it. I will tell you that I did MAT for a long time and I liked it. I have nothing negative to say about it. I would kind of walk out of those sessions mind blown with how I had more motion in a shoulder that had been frozen for a while than I did before I went in. The two things to remember is that when it comes to body maintenance, there's a lot that goes into it. So in order to keep that going, whenever you stop going to the MAT activation, the benefits kind of go away. So it's not like you get worse, but in order to keep that up and to keep that where it is, you've got to keep going. You've got to keep foam rolling. You've got to keep getting massages. You've got to keep, if you think of it, the channel, I just keep pointing here because it was this shoulder. I couldn't pull it that far back. I couldn't go any further back than this. And now I could do this, but that also came from a lot of work that went along with it. But it was a series of stretches of not just the activation, but the activation plus strengthening, plus stretches, plus a lot of Pilates. That was during the period when I was doing 8 hours a week of Pilates. You don't have to do that much. That's how much I was doing. That's what was available to me through a lot. Usually they say 1 or 2 sessions a week for 3 or 4 months will literally reprogram some of those channels. I cannot say that it'll be that short for everybody or that duration for everybody. I don't want to. So I guess I should have prefaced all of this by saying, if it's available to you and you can afford it, yeah, do it. Why not? You've literally got nothing to lose. If it's a bit out of reach, because I know it isn't necessarily covered by insurance yet, if it's a little bit out of reach and it's not something that you're sure about, maybe try a session and then, talk to your partner, look through the budget, ask some tough questions. It can be a great supplement to physical therapy. I was doing it alongside physical therapy and all the Pilates in a therapeutic setting. So yeah, I recommend it highly, but I also acknowledge that it's not available to everyone and it's not a must do. It's like, if you can, why not sort of situation. When it comes to the human body, there tends to be a line between what we know works and is evidence-based through science and research and rigorous testing and rigorous peer review. I say rigorous with a grain of salt because there are no standards for peer review. Something I recently learned listening to the Maintenance Phase podcast. And that means that some people might be reviewed a little bit harder than others before it kind of makes it before a research paper makes its way out the door. So once you have left that clean cut area of science, you're floating for the most part. And it's hard to tell the difference between something like MAT that's a lot of top athletes swear by, like Peyton Manning, and that I've tried and I love, and say testing for mold. Mold is a serious thing. Mold on the peanuts that you eat is not. If someone is trying to sell you on a mold detox, that's a grift. That's a cash grab. That's not whatever it is they're selling you on Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook. That is probably not rigorously peer reviewed, or it's not someone who got thrown out of a major university for being so right the world can handle it. The people working on MAT were a small cabal of people who've been working with very high-end athletes and people with very, very serious detrimental levels of injury who came up with the theory and then sort of started putting it out into the world. So it is not, I tend to not put them, though you could. I can't say that every person who is a practitioner is going to be good and knowledgeable, because that's the problem you get into when you start licensing an idea and you make a business out of your idea, right? I can't guarantee that every single coach you meet who claims to be an HRT coach does things the way that I do. They probably don't, or that they are right in a different way than I am, or that we're saying the same thing. We're probably not. You're probably just as likely to overtrain with them as you are with anyone else, honestly. So I tell you that to tell you this: take everything with a grain of salt, give it a try. If the place you're going to is good, you'll know right away. And if you're able to make it work, you can. And if they're kind of grifty and make it feel like it didn't work because it's your fault, that's a grift. Run away screaming. That's a very long answer to what on the surface was a pretty short question. Unfortunately, there are no like right or wrong answers. It's like, I read something the other day that said, put down your percussion massager. And I didn't even read it because I'm like, that's nuts. I don't know anyone who's using theirs enough that it could actually be a problem. Especially me, and I use mine a lot. I love that thing. Love it. But I tell you this, like anything else in the world, there is good. At what price and at what point does it become not good any longer? Kids find it really quickly. Sorry if you hear the screams. It's on a case-by-case basis as we go. Try it out. Let me know what you think. But it's the muscle activation therapy, MAT, is not something I'm categorically afraid of or going to say no to. There you go. With that, I hope you have a wonderful week. Let me know if you have any questions about Run Walk. I will be we're tiptoeing into 2023, which we don't really start doing until the end of January, beginning of February. Let me know if you have more questions. And don't forget to sign up for office hours. If you're watching this, you paid for them. They're yours for the taking. I really want to talk to you. Come see me. You're coached. You are loved. Keep winning at this unfamiliar new year that ends in 2 new numbers. And may you remember them more frequently than I do when I try to sign things.